My elder sister has departed, yet her betrothal to the regent prince is set to occur in merely 3 days' time. My father summoned the betrothed, the illustrious regent, to our residence, and our family knelt in abject supplication. The regent, with a visage as frigid as ice, casually gestured towards me, who knelt in a corner. She shall suffice. Wed her to me in 3 days, he declared. My father, overwhelmed with joy, wept tears of relief, grateful to avoid the calamity of confiscation. In the bridal chamber, I sat upon the nuptial bed, shrouded beneath a veil, paralyzed with trepidation. The regent, Fu Zhao, is reputed for his thunderous methods and unyielding decisiveness. Those who offend him find themselves swiftly confronted with decrees of confiscation and imprisonment the very next day. This cold and merciless figure, akin to a living Yama, harbors a peculiar affection for the esteemed eldest daughter of the chancellor's household, Li Chuxing. Regardless of the outrageous statements she has made or the scandalous actions she has taken, he merely regards them with a dismissive smile. As for me, a mere lowly concubine born of the second wife, I live in constant trepidation, striving to navigate the narrow margins of survival prior to my marriage. My father insisted that my only asset was my pleasing appearance, urging me to ensnare Fu Zhao's favor at all costs. Otherwise, our family would face dire misfortunes. The door creaked open, footsteps approached, accompanied by the crisp aroma of fine wine. As my veil was lifted, I bowed my head, struggling to suppress my trembling. "Lift your head," he commanded. His long fingers gently raised my chin, and summoning my courage, I dared to glance up. Before me stood a figure clad in resplendent red wedding attire, with striking brows and starry eyes, a countenance akin to polished jade, his stature as upright as a towering pine or cypress. I had seen him from afar before, surrounded by throngs, exuding an imposing aura. Yet now, gazing at him from such proximity, I was struck by his astonishing beauty and found myself momentarily entranced. "Have you seen enough?" His thin lips curled into a subtle smile, yet I was seized by a sudden tremor, nearly collapsing to the ground. "Your Highness, I beg for your forgiveness." "What did you call me?" The voice from above was frigid. I hastily rose to pay my respects. "Husband, I seek your pardon." He remained noncommittal, casually lifting the hem of his garment and taking a seat, his long legs spread apart, the flickering candlelight reflecting in his gaze. A dance of shadows and light. A spark of inspiration ignited within me, and I cautiously approached. "I am here to serve you, my lord." He responded with a soft hum, allowing my trembling hands to unfasten the buttons of his collar. The jade buttons were cool and slippery, perpetually slipping through my fingers. And despite the passage of time, I struggled to free them completely. I was consumed by anxiety, beads of cold sweat forming, my hands trembling even more violently. Truly vexing. He waved his arm, the sleeves sweeping through the air, extinguishing the candlelight. Then he pulled open his garment and enveloped me in his embrace, pressing me onto the bed. On this wedding night filled with flowers and candles, I endured in silence, tears cascading down my cheeks uncontrollably. Yet I dared not weep aloud. Biting down on my lip with all my might, he sensed my distress, leaning down to kiss me, his touch imbued with a gentleness akin to flowing water. We toiled until the latter part of the night, and I, utterly exhausted, drifted into a haze of sleep. I vaguely heard him call my name, Sui Sui. Sui Sui was my childhood name. How could he know it? Perhaps it was merely a dream. In the following 3 days, Fu Zhao remained at home. His words few and the atmosphere starkly silent, mirroring my own quietude. Unlike my elder sister, who had read extensively and possessed countless fanciful ideas, my education in the boudoir revolved around embroidery and tea brewing, aimed at pleasing my father and stepmother. During the day, tranquility reigned as he enjoyed the tea I brewed while reading, while I sat beside him, embroidering. Yet at night, he transformed into a different person, finding ways to torment me. When I could no longer withstand it, I would weep, and only after pleading repeatedly would he finally hold me in his arms, granting me a brief respite. His beautiful brows were infused with the vibrancy of spring, and his face was adorned with a joyful smile. After 3 days, he was to return to the palace to attend to state affairs. Alone at home, I eventually received a summons from the Empress Dowager requesting my presence. The late emperor had passed away prematurely, and the Empress Dowager, hardly in her 20s, was only a few years my senior. Yet, seated within the regal confines of Fingyi Palace, her majestic aura rendered her seemingly untouchable. With a serious demeanor, she casually inquired about my well-being. Just as we engaged in conversation, a voice echoed from outside. "The Regent Lord has arrived." Fu Zhao stepped inside, clad in court attire, his tall figure striking. The Empress Dowager's eyes instantly brightened, biting her lip and casting him a sidelong glance. "You still remember to come to see me?" Fu Zhao offered his respects and stood beside me, his tone unremarkable. Hearing that the Empress summoned my humble wife to the palace, fearing she may be unaware of the etiquette and cause you concern, I have come to seek pardon. "Humph," the Empress Dowager retorted lightly, playfully tapping his chest with her delicate finger. "You are indeed guilty. As for your penance, I shall impose a separate punishment upon your next visit." The once dignified Empress Dowager transformed into a playful young girl upon encountering Fu Zhao. Suddenly, I recalled whispers I had overheard, revealing that the Empress Dowager and the young emperor, both solitary figures, relied heavily on the Regent Lord for matters of state. Over time, their interactions led to the regent even attending to the Empress Dowager's loneliness. It appeared the rumors were indeed true. An unsettling chill coursed through me as I pondered whether I had inadvertently stumbled upon such palace secrets and if I would be silenced for it. The Empress Dowager's demeanor was laden with innuendo, each word dripping with implication. In contrast, Fu Zhao remained distant and aloof, embodying a demeanor that kept others at bay. Before long, the Empress Dowager, sensing her own ennui, cast a resentful glance in my direction and dismissed us. Once outside, I cautiously followed in Fu Zhao's wake, matching his pace. Suddenly, he halted, grasping my hand, his long fingers enveloping my entire hand within his palm. After walking a short distance, he spoke coolly. "Those rumors circulating are mere fabrications. Do not let them trouble you." My heart raced, causing my hand to tremble as I forced a smile. "Rest assured, my lord. I have seen nothing and am not the slightest bit concerned." "Is that so?" He stopped, looking down at me from his height. "You truly are not at all concerned?" I nodded fervently. "Not at all, not even a fraction." He fell silent, his penetrating gaze fixed on me, rendering my legs weak. After a prolonged moment, he smirked coolly and released my hand. Such magnanimity from my lady is indeed my fortune. With that, he turned away without casting me another glance. I stood there, dumbfounded, suddenly feeling as if he were angry. Why was he upset? Did he resent me for being in the way of his dealings with the Empress Dowager? Upon returning home together, he entered the study with a somber expression. I brewed tea and brought it to him, carefully observing his demeanor. "Why are you still lingering here?" he asked, not glancing up from his book, his tone icy. Startled, I hurried to the door. "My lord, you are busy. I shall not disturb you." He remained in the study for an extended period, not emerging even as dinner time approached. I swallowed nervously as I watched the food grow cold on the table. I dared not enter the study to call for him, nor could I bear to eat alone. As the moon climbed high, I still sat in the flower hall, finally hearing footsteps approach. Fu Zhao entered, his gaze falling upon the untouched dishes, momentarily taken aback. "Why haven't you eaten? What is the matter?" By heaven and earth, I would never dare to sulk with him. Did he think I wished to prolong my own existence? "I wouldn't dare, my lord. I merely wanted to know if you were hungry. Please, enjoy your meal." To my surprise, he scoffed coldly. "You actually care whether I am hungry?" What had I done to provoke him? I was utterly at a loss, lowering my head and rendered speechless. "I have already dined. You may eat alone." He tossed this remark over his shoulder as he made to leave, prompting me to chase after him. "My lord, have you truly eaten?" He turned to face me, a half-smile playing on his lips, his tone cool and measured. "The servants have already delivered dinner to the study. You must have been too idle to notice." I was stunned to realize that someone had already brought him food, while I had foolishly waited. Seeing me in stunned silence, he rubbed his temples, his tone growing colder. "You should eat and rest. I have many matters to attend to and will be staying in the study." After saying this, he lingered for a moment longer, his gaze entangling me like creeping vines before he finally left. I was left feeling anxious, finally managing to utter, "Oh, I understand." Once the words left my lips, He departed as if he could no longer tolerate even a moment's more gaze upon me. If he chose not to look, then so be it. I exhaled a sigh of relief. After finishing my meal and tidying up, I lay alone in the vast bed. Although it felt somewhat desolate without Fu Zhao at last, I could enjoy a full night's sleep. How delightful. In the days that followed, Fu Zhao was consumed with work, his presence absent from home, often sleeping in the study. One day, he did not return to the estate at all, instead residing in the palace. The palace had accommodations for court officials, a place my father had once occupied. Yet, the news of Fu Zhao's stay in the palace sparked unwelcome thoughts. The Empress Dowager was so young, presenting a composed facade to the public while displaying a more alluring demeanor behind closed doors. Fu Zhao, who reveled in tormenting me at night, surely found more joy in the company of the Empress than with me. I pondered this, feeling neither sorrow nor heartbreak, just a sense of heaviness in my heart. My father had advised me to win him over, yet it had only been a short time, and he already regarded me with disdain. Lost in my thoughts, Fu Zhao returned, and I hurried to greet him. He still wore his court attire, the vibrant colors contrasting against his elegantly arranged black hair adorned with a jade crown, projecting an air of dignity and authority. I stole a glance, noting that he appeared unchanged, and my curiosity grew. Had he not been with the Empress Dowager? Or was she merely unremarkable? Or perhaps he was too cunning for me to decipher. What are you staring at? Do I have flowers on my face? His voice suddenly interrupted my contemplation, startling me. I quickly averted my gaze. No, I was just, my lord. I have missed you dearly after your prolonged absence. He let out a soft hum, a faint smile flickering in his eyes as he took my hand and playfully entwined our fingers for a moment. Aware that I had been busy for several days, it struck me how he had returned without even preparing a glass of water. Realizing this, I immediately understood and hurried to brew some tea. Please wait a moment. My lord, I shall prepare it right away. Just like in the early days of our marriage, he sipped his tea while engrossed in his reading, occasionally dipping his brush to write. This time, he did not find my presence bothersome, allowing me to sit beside him, busily working on some needlework. At that moment, I was crafting a belt for him, selecting a pale aquamarine silk adorned with embroidered lush bamboo groves. From the very first moment I laid eyes on him, I was captivated by his slender waist and long legs. Standing tall like a majestic bamboo, the belt would suit him perfectly. The flickering candlelight cast gentle shadows, and the study was enveloped in tranquility, leading me to gradually succumb to drowsiness, stifling several yawns. It's getting late, you should retire for the night. I rose and performed a curtsy, stating that I would take my leave to rest, urging him not to toil too late. He remained silent, pressing his lips together, his expression as somber as still water, seemingly displeased once more. Not daring to linger, I hastened to the door but suddenly recalled something and turned to ask, my lord. But I faltered mid-sentence as the brilliance in his eyes was striking, gazing at me with an undercurrent of expectation. My lord, may I leave the manor tomorrow? The Duchess of Onqing has sent an invitation for a flower-viewing gathering. I believed my tone was sufficiently respectful and cautious, yet his countenance darkened in an instant, and he slammed the book he held onto the table. Whether you wish to go or not is of no concern to me. Do not burden me with such trivial matters again. Hurry and sleep, your presence here is vexing. His harsh words pierced my heart, and I fought back tears as I silently bowed and returned to my chamber. The following morning, I attended the flower-viewing banquet hosted by the Duchess of Onqing. As soon as I entered, I was immediately surrounded. During my time at the residence, I had been reticent and uncherished, seldom brought out by my biological mother for social engagements. Now, having suddenly ascended to the status of the regent's wife, the curiosity and envy from those around me were palpable. The conversations were primarily about my extraordinary fortune, having seized this marriage from my elder sister. They then circled around to inquire about Fu Zhao. I responded vaguely, for not only was I not well acquainted with Fu Zhao, but even if I were, I could not speak freely about him. His esteemed status made him vulnerable to the schemes of the unscrupulous. Finally, as the banquet concluded, I settled into the carriage to rest, only to be interrupted midway by an unexpected stop. Fourth Miss, Song Qingju requests an audience. I opened the carriage door and saw a figure standing below, dressed in a simple blue robe, lean and unassuming. It was Song Qingju. Fourth Miss. I returned home to visit family for 2 months, and upon hearing you had married, I was incredulous. Seeing you today, it appears to be true. Indeed. Even I could hardly comprehend how I ended up wed to Fu Zhao, feeling as though I were ensnared in a dream. Yes, Mr. Song. I was married not long ago. How is your family? All is well, he replied with a faint smile. That is good. You may rest easy to prepare for next year's imperial examination. Indeed, he murmured softly, his expression tinged with melancholy. For a moment, I was at a loss for words. After a brief silence, I said softly, if you have no further matters, I shall take my leave. A flicker of reluctance crossed his face. Yet he inclined his head slightly. Fourth Miss, travel safely. As the carriage moved away, I glanced back through the window, finding him still standing there, lost in thought. Song Qingju was a student of my father, hired as a tutor due to his scholarly prowess, teaching my brothers. My elder sister insisted that girls, like boys, should also pursue education, and she encouraged us to study under Song Qingju. I followed him for 2 years of schooling, but struggled to keep pace, unable to match my sister's eloquence. Fortunately, Song Qingju was patient and kind, always offering his guidance. Previously, he had been called home abruptly due to his mother's illness, setting assignments before his departure, promising to check on my progress upon his return. However, in just 2 months, everything had changed. Upon returning home, I felt fatigued and lay down on the bed to rest. Just as I was drifting off, a loud crash echoed as the door was kicked open. Fu Zhao stormed in, radiating an oppressive aura of hostility, his gaze upon me sharp as a blade. Instantly, my drowsiness vanished. My lord, what? Before I could finish, he seized me roughly, his grip on my shoulder painfully tight. He stared at me, his eyes dark and stormy, tugging at the corner of his mouth as he coldly uttered, Fourth Mississippi. Confused, I trembled under his intense gaze. My lord, what is the matter? He pulled me closer, his expression chilling. I thought you preferred tranquility and would not attend any flower viewing gatherings. It seems you left early to meet an old acquaintance. The realization struck me. He had misconstrued my meeting with Song Qingju. I hurriedly explained, I happened upon Mr. Song on the road. We did not arrange to meet. A chance encounter? He scoffed coldly. How long did he wait for you on the road? How long did he watch your carriage depart? Did you think I was unaware? What is Song Qingju to you, daring to covet what belongs to me? Is he not wholly devoted to his studies? I will ensure he is disqualified from the examination and barred from any official position. No, I cried out urgently. My relationship with Mr. Song is pure. You cannot treat him this way. Song Qingju had devoted years to rigorous study, yearning for success. Fu Zhao's actions would be tantamount to extinguishing his future. What? Are you feeling pity for him? He grasped my chin and kissed me, his lips pressing against mine. What did your father tell you? Is it not to exert all efforts to please me? If you satisfy me today, perhaps I will spare Song Qingju. With that, he leaned over, pinning me to the bed, tearing at my clothing with a ferocity unlike his usual gentleness, like a beast unleashing its fury. Humiliation and pain mingled with indignation as I struggled helplessly against him. He paused, glancing around, and seized the almost finished belt from the bedside. His name is Qingju, and you embroidered bamboo for him. You are truly infatuated. The cold light in his eyes made me tremble uncontrollably. No, please listen to me, let me explain. Yet he paid no heed to my pleas, binding my hands to the bedpost with the belt and continuing to rip at my clothing. I recalled his claims that the rumors regarding him and the Empress Dowager were unfounded and that I should not mind. I thought of my elder sister enjoying wine and conversation with the young gentleman of the capital, and how he merely smiled when he learned of it, never reproaching her. Yet here I was, subjected to such humiliation for exchanging a few words with my former tutor. No matter how cautious and accommodating I had been, I would forever pale in comparison to my sister in his eyes. The thought pierced my heart like a knife, leaving me breathless with pain. I curled into myself, sobbing uncontrollably. I had no sense of time, and when I regained composure, I found my hands had been freed. Fu Zhao cradled me in his arms, tirelessly wiping my tears. Do not cry, my dear. I turned my head away, unwilling to meet his gaze. Leave, Fu Zhao, just leave. His complexion paled, the corners of his eyes reddening, yet he embraced me tighter. I summoned all my strength to break free, turning my back to him and coldly insisting, "Leave." After a moment, I sensed his departure, the door closing softly behind him. I wrapped myself tightly in the blanket, weeping for what felt like an eternity before finally succumbing to a heavy sleep. That day, I had lost control of my emotions entirely, raising my voice to expel Fu Zhao. When I regained my senses, I spent the following days in a state of trepidation, fearing that my father's ministerial residence would be raided at any moment. Fortunately, all remained calm. Fu Zhao had not returned for several days, which suited me just fine. I truly did not know how to face him. Should I glare at him in anger or cautiously offer my apologies? One evening, late at night, having already settled into bed, I heard a knock at the door. "Madam, the regent is in the palace on urgent business. He requests your presence." Outside stood Fu Zhao's attendant, his face etched with anxiety. Confounded, I inquired about the matter at hand, but he provided no answer, merely urging me to hurry. "Madam, please hurry. The lord cannot wait any longer." In a flurry, I entered the palace, traversing the winding corridors until I arrived at a desolate palace. "The regent lord is inside, madam. Please enter." As I pushed the door open, I was immediately enveloped in a fervent embrace. The familiar scent belonged to Fu Zhao. The humiliation of that day surged back. And just as I was about to push him away, he suddenly buried his head in the crook of my neck, breathing softly, calling out in a hoarse whisper, "Sui, Sui, don't go." The tender utterance of my name stirred an emotional tide within me, nearly bringing tears to my eyes. Since my mother's passing, no one had called me that. "Sui, Sui," he murmured again, seemingly struggling against something, his entire being trembling. "I was wrong, please don't be angry. Don't send me away, all right?" He was the powerful regent lord, always perched above. Even my father, the prime minister, showed him utmost respect. Yet now, he was pleading with me, his voice soft and laced with a careful supplication. I knew not how, but my heart, once bitter, melted in an instant. "All right. I'm no longer angry." He smiled, and then a violent shudder coursed through him. Gasping for breath, his face flushed. "Husband, what ails you?" From the moment I entered, I sensed something was amiss. He seemed to be enduring great pain. I had fallen into the Empress Dowager's trap, unaware she possessed such potent secret medicine within the depths of the palace. I gasped in surprise, quickly inquiring, "Why would the Empress Dowager wish to harm you?" "She merely seeks to force my hand." Is this medicine truly potent? How can it be undone?" "Indeed, it is powerful and only you can alleviate it." His usually aloof eyes were now filled with fervent emotion, and his smile was captivating. It dawned upon me that the Empress Dowager had administered an aphrodisiac to him. He swept me into his arms, carrying me towards the inner chamber's bed, gently laying me down before immediately covering me with his presence. "Sui, Sui. It's so unbearable for me. Could you help me relieve this?" The secret medicine was indeed formidable, seemingly infectious, causing me to tremble uncontrollably as I wrapped my arms around his waist. He was burning with fever yet still slowly unfastened my garments. "Don't be afraid, Sui, Sui. I won't hurt you." Just as dawn broke, I was deep in slumber when a gentle knock roused me. "My lord, the Empress Dowager is approaching with many others." The mention of the Empress Dowager startled me, and I sat up abruptly. "Don't be frightened," Fu Zhao said, pressing me back onto the pillow, stroking my head gently. "You rest a little longer. I shall handle everything outside." He rose to dress, and I attempted to assist him but was halted. "Sui, Sui, you toiled last night. There's no need to push yourself further." His words made my cheeks burn, yet he smiled brightly, a hint of triumphant satisfaction dancing in his eyes. Fu Zhao stepped outside, standing by the door, and soon I heard a cacophony of footsteps. "Who is inside? Bring her out before me." The Empress Dowager's voice was filled with anger and urgency. Fu Zhao's straight silhouette shifted slightly, blocking the entrance entirely. "Your Highness, there is no one inside. There is no need to enter." His tone was calm and devoid of emotion. "One glance is enough to tell if anyone is here. Let me in now." The Empress Dowager shouted repeatedly, yet outside remained eerily silent, no one daring to step forward. "You, Fu Zhao, dare to oppose me? I shall enter myself. Let anyone try to stop me." As she spoke, she attempted to push the door but was abruptly repelled. Fu Zhao, have you turned against me? Your Highness, he replied. His voice unwavering, I have already shown my respect. Should you persist, you will only bring disgrace upon yourself. Wouldn't you agree? Feng Ruaji. The mention of my name stripped the Empress Dowager of her fury. The crowd outside quickly dispersed. Fu Zhao returned, glancing at me, seeing I was fully dressed. His eyes flickering. Did my voice disturb your sleep? Given the earlier uproar, one could hardly have slept. But I dared not voice this thought, instead. I smiled warmly at him. I am not weary, shall we return home? Soon, a palanquin awaited us outside the hall, and he effortlessly lifted me inside. The journey was quiet, and I discreetly peeked outside through the curtain. In the wide palace avenue, Fu Zhao walked ahead, with passing eunuchs and palace maids immediately bowing their heads in reverence upon seeing him. In this palace, with him present, I felt an undeniable sense of security. Upon returning home and after dinner, I grew so drowsy that I could barely keep my eyes open. Fu Zhao escorted me back to my room, tucking the blankets snugly around me and gently ruffled my hair, akin to pampering a small dog. Now, you trust that I am innocent with the Empress Dowager, do you not? I pondered for a moment and softly asked, but do you believe that I have no ties with Song Qingzhu? He hesitated, his eyelashes quivering, awkwardly turning his head away. Sway, I acknowledge my mistake. But you must not meet him alone again, do you understand? Though he was apologizing, his tone was commanding, insisting that I not see Song Qingzhu, suggesting he still held doubts. I sighed and fell silent. Yet he persisted, gripping my chin, his voice stern and his gaze intense. Why the silence? Do you still wish to see him? Unable to contain my feelings any longer, I voiced my suppressed thoughts. What if it were my sister? If she conversed with another gentleman, would you treat her as you do me? Li Chuxing? He paused momentarily, then chuckled. She cannot be compared to you. She is well acquainted with the young masters of the capital. Why should I care who she speaks to? Last night, despite his own torment, he had remained considerate and tender towards me, leading me to believe I might hold a similar place in his heart as his legitimate sister. But ultimately, it was different. His enduring tolerance for her meant he could not bear to confine her, nor could he bear to be angry with her. My heart felt as if it had sunk to the depths of the water, heavy and painful. I took a few deep breaths and obediently nodded, I understand. I shall no longer meet with Mr. Song. Yet he seemed unsatisfied, continuing to gaze at me, his expression stern. After a long pause, he cupped my face and kissed me gently, sighing, Do not feel sorrow or injustice. In the future, I shall be here for you, and you will gradually forget him. Days returned to a tranquil state. Fu Zhao left early and returned late, yet even amidst his busyness, he never slept in the study again. I would feel his presence beside me as I drifted in and out of sleep, soon finding myself cradled in his arms. I would not even open my eyes, seeking a comfortable position in his embrace to continue my slumber. Occasionally, I would awaken to find him kissing me persistently, his gentle touches tantalizingly sweet. Sway. Do you miss me? Should I reply affirmatively, he would shower me with fervent kisses, fervently expressing his longing. Conversely, if I responded in the negative, he would kiss me with a lingering passion, reproaching me for my lack of affection, as if I had wronged him deeply. I once asked how he knew my pet name. He raised an eyebrow and smiled. I am the Regent Lord. There is nothing in this world I do not know. As the year drew to a close, my father's birthday approached. The Prime Minister's residence prepared a grand banquet, welcoming all the esteemed nobles of the capital. As Fu Zhao helped me descend from the carriage, a throng had already gathered at the entrance, awaiting our arrival. He maintained his usual aloof demeanor, dismissing the flattery of others with nary a glance. I found myself seated in the center of the ladies' gathering, my usually indifferent stepmother now brimming with smiles, eagerly engaging with my sisters. Just as we were conversing, the steward burst in, calling out loudly, Master, Madam, the eldest young lady has returned. With his announcement, a woman entered, her hair elegantly styled, dressed in a striking red riding outfit, exuding brilliance and vitality. It was my legitimate sister, Li Chuxing. Her radiant, expressive eyes scanned the courtyard, and then they landed on Fu Zhao, a bright smile illuminating her face. Fu Zhao, I am back. Inexplicably, That smile pierced my heart with pain. On the other hand, Fu Zhao remained composed, replying coolly, "It has been a long time, Miss Li." Li Chuxing approached, glancing at me before raising her chin towards Fu Zhao. "Having been away for less than a year, you have already become so distant." The atmosphere grew somewhat awkward, with all eyes darting between the three of us, filled with curiosity and intrigue. Fu Zhao remained unfazed as always, displaying a calm demeanor in the face of adversity, while Li Chuxing carried herself with poise and nonchalance. It was only I, having spent my life in seclusion, who felt uncomfortable under such scrutiny, as if sitting on pins and needles. In the midst of my growing unease, I felt a warmth at my back. Fu Zhao had stepped forward to shield me. Indeed, it was I who had acted coldly. "You are indeed my elder sister, and I should properly address you as such." Li Chuxing's expression stiffened momentarily, but she quickly regained her composure and smiled confidently. "Fu Zhao, I must admit that my abrupt departure was inexcusable. You harbor resentment towards me, and thus speak with barbs. I shall not hold it against you. Xing'er has always enjoyed a close relationship with the regent, so her candor should not be taken amiss. I hope you all can overlook this." At that moment, my stepmother intervened to ease the tension, prompting a few chuckles before the crowd dispersed. Upon returning to my seat, I felt as though Li Chuxing's gaze lingered upon me, her large, dark eyes scrutinizing me with an intensity that was unsettling. Feeling stifled, I sought an excuse to leave the table and wandered into the garden. I had barely taken a few steps when I heard someone call my name. "Fourth sister." Li Chuxing had followed me. Taller than I, she approached, her eyes betraying an unmasked pride and disdain. "What is it like to marry someone who does not love you? Tell me, how does it feel?" As I reflected on the past 6 months of my marriage to Fu Zhao, the passionate embraces, the companionship in the study, the protection within the palace, his somewhat domineering explanations, careful apologies, and tender way of calling me Sui, it dawned upon me that most of it was, in fact, sweet. I lowered my head and replied softly, "My husband treats me very well." "Humph," Li Chuxing scoffed, a note of pity in her voice. "He merely flatters you with small tokens of affection. His kindness stems from 2 reasons. You are my half-sister, and he seeks to retaliate against me for my elopement, provoking my jealousy. Li Chuan, do you not consider your own station? What makes you worthy of him? The only woman who can stand by his side is me. I simply chose not to marry quickly, to avoid being trapped within the inner chambers. After my travels, you managed to usurp my place. Now that I have returned, naturally, I shall be with Fu Zhao. But I implore you to leave him." I was perplexed by her use of leave, but the notion of separation struck my heart like a heavy blow. "You are still a lady of the minister's house. I shall not humiliate you. There is no need for Fu Zhao to issue a divorce. You may request one yourself." With that, Li Chuxing threw me one last glance, her crimson attire as striking as fire, before turning away. I was left in a daze, returning to my seat with her words echoing in my mind, my heart a tangled mess. Shortly after, Fu Zhao's attendant approached me quietly. "Madam, the Lord is concerned about your pallor. He cannot leave at the moment. If you are fatigued, you may return home." I was reluctant to maintain a facade of cheerfulness any longer, exchanged a few pleasantries, and stood to take my leave. However, upon exiting, I spotted Song Qingzhu lurking in a corner. I averted my gaze and hastily tried to walk on, only to be intercepted by him. "Fourth miss," he said, his eyes filled with pity, "the eldest lady has returned and has informed me of the situation. Should you choose to divorce the regent, I would be willing to propose marriage, with all due ceremonies and formalities." I was taken aback by his sudden declaration, a wave of shock and confusion washing over me. "Mr. Song, you jest. I have matters to attend to. I must take my leave." Once home, a throbbing headache plagued me, yet I tossed and turned in bed, unable to sleep. After an indeterminate amount of time, the door creaked open, and someone entered, gently lifting the curtain. "Why are you still awake? What troubles you?" Fu Zhao asked, as he tenderly brushed my disheveled hair and drew me into his embrace. He bore a peculiar scent, one I had also detected on Li Chuxing earlier that day. "It's nothing. I am simply a bit weary and wish to rest," I replied, shifting away slightly and turning my back to him. Silence enveloped us, broken only by the soft sound of our breathing. Sui, he murmured, wrapping his arms around me once more. "I know you are not asleep. You encountered Song Qingju again, did you not? A tremor coursed through my body, and I could not suppress my shivering. He knew. He would once again seek to humiliate me. Sway, the person behind me tightened his embrace, resting his head between my shoulder blades with a sigh. I truly do not know how to handle this. I closed my eyes, tears streaming down my cheeks. Indeed, Li Chuxing had returned, yet I still occupied the position of the regent's wife. You truly are at a loss regarding how to deal with me. Neither Fu Zhao nor I mentioned Li Chuxing again, however, I could not escape the news of her. She returned from her travels, composed several poems that captivated the capital. So much so that even children recited lines such as, "The vast desert smoke rises straight, the setting sun over the long river round." She crafted a musical instrument called the huqin, claiming to have seen it in the western frontier. She also brought back wine, writing daily and drinking heartily, with a throng of admirers following her. She cast a shadow over all the ladies of the capital. One day, I spotted a procession of elegantly dressed riders in the distance. Leading the group was Li Chuxing, with Fu Zhao by her side. I stood transfixed as they faded from view. Realizing that Li Chuxing had been correct, it was better to preserve my dignity and proactively seek my own release from this marriage rather than wait for Fu Zhao to issue a divorce. With tears blurring my vision, I penned a letter of separation. When Fu Zhao returned home and saw me, he was taken aback, pulling me into his embrace and inquiring about my distress. Yet, he bore the same scent that lingered around Li Chuxing. Today he appeared particularly jubilant, claiming to have accomplished something significant, his features radiating a beauty that left one spellbound. Hesitating, I tucked the letter of separation into my sleeve. His enthusiasm was insatiable that evening. I found myself in tears as he held me and tried to console me. Sway, why are you so tearful today? His words only served to elicit more tears from me. After today, no one would call me Sway again. The following morning, Fu Zhao had already departed. I placed the letter of separation on the desk in the study, ensuring he would see it upon his return, then packed a small bag and stepped outside. With thoughts of Li Chuxing occupying my mind, I felt no inclination to return home and wandered aimlessly through the streets. As I walked, I collided with someone. I apologized and attempted to move on, only to find that the person was none other than Fu Zhao, his countenance cold, his eyes a tempest of emotions difficult to decipher. I should not have allowed your tears to soften my heart last night. Let us see how you managed to run away today, he declared, pulling me into a carriage alongside him. I grasped the hem of my garment tightly, summoning the courage to plead, "Regent, please allow me to retain some semblance of dignity." "In your dreams," he retorted, cornering me. "You wish to divorce and marry Song Qingju instead? Li Chuan, you have not considered the implications of that. This has nothing to do with Mr. Song. My sister has returned, and if you intend to marry her, how should I conduct myself?" "Who says I intend to marry Li Chuxing? Your audacity has grown. You concoct excuses for a mere dalliance with Song Qingju." His voice rose, adamant in his accusation of my purported affections for Song Qingju, even while he had been riding alongside Li Chuxing without a care. "I have never had any involvement with Song Qingju, yet you have never believed me. And what of you? If you do not wish to marry Li Chuxing, why did you become engaged to her? Why do you tolerate her every whim? Why do you carry her scent? Why do you ride alongside her? Why do you possess her letters?" I had never raised my voice like this before, not even to the servants of the minister's house, always remaining polite. Yet now I found myself confronting Fu Zhao with fierce intensity, my words spilling forth like a torrent. Immediately regretting my outburst, I pressed against the carriage wall, shrinking back. He appeared taken aback, gazing at me with a storm of emotion swirling in his eyes. In the next moment, he pulled me into his embrace. So Sway is jealous." "No," I vehemently denied, struggling to break free. He enveloped me tightly in his embrace, his face radiating the warmth of spring, smiling with an air of self-satisfaction. "Still in denial? You're certain that I cannot bear to punish you, aren't you? Those questions you just asked, I will gradually elucidate in due time. But remember this one truth, my heart belongs solely to Sway, and I desire nothing but her." "Fu Zhao loves me?" I was momentarily dazed. How could he possibly love me? How? He gently tapped my forehead, still feeling a twinge of jealousy. "Who is jealous? Still stubborn, are we?" His kiss descended upon me. Lingering and fervent, was he truly envious? I remained silent, and he continued to kiss me, teasingly persistent and utterly consuming. Yes, I am jealous, I conceded helplessly. And he grinned broadly, even beginning to unfasten the buttons of my garment. No, we're in the carriage. Sway, sway, be good, I murmured softly. The carriage halted at the entrance of the mansion, and I was utterly drained, being tenderly carried back by Fu Zhao. Upon entering the room, he remarked that he was still unsatisfied and wished to continue our playful tussle. Fortunately, at that moment, someone knocked at the door. Fu Zhao exited with visible displeasure, returning shortly with a serious expression. His Majesty has suddenly fallen gravely ill, and I must urgently enter the palace. I was taken aback. The Emperor was merely 6 years old. How could he be so suddenly unwell? Whether it be illness or poisoning, I shall investigate thoroughly. He rushed out, only to return for a brief moment to embrace me. Sway, sway, I fear I may not return for several days. Wait for me obediently. All right. 3 days after Fu Zhao's departure, news emerged that there was turmoil in the palace, and I was summoned to meet him at the city gate at the hour of Shin. Upon my arrival at the city gate, I was struck from behind, rendering me unconscious. Before I lost awareness, I vaguely caught a glimpse of Li Chuxing's shadow. Fourth miss, wake up. As I opened my eyes, I hazily saw myself lying in a cramped room, the doors and windows tightly shut. Song Qingju was beside me, gazing at me with concern. I rubbed my throbbing head. Where are we? Mr. Song, why are you here too? Do not fear, fourth miss. We are in a villa on the outskirts of the capital, arranged by the eldest young lady. Eldest sister? What arrangement? Song Qingju offered me a reassuring smile, his gaze gentle. The eldest young lady has informed me that you wish to separate from the regent, yet he continues to cling to you. Today, while he is still in the palace, she has arranged for us to secretly leave the capital and escape far away. A carriage will come for us tonight. What? I was so startled that I sat up abruptly, rising to head outside. Fourth miss, don't worry, Song Qingju said, chasing after me and grasping my hand, his cheeks flushing crimson. In truth, I have long harbored deep feelings for you, Fourth Mississippi. I intended to propose after achieving my degree. Now, I desire no titles or wealth, only to spend a lifetime with you. Mr. Song, listen to me, I exclaimed, shaking off his hand. Eldest sister is mistaken. I have no intention of separating from Fu Zhao. Since our marriage, he has treated me well. He is my husband and my one true love. My feelings for you have always been merely that of teacher and student. Song Qingju froze, as if something within him shattered. He trembled, lips quivering as he murmured. So that is how it is, but why would the eldest young lady deceive me? I shook my head. I do not know why she would do so. Before the carriage she arranged arrives, we must leave. I went to push the door, but it was locked. I tried the window, but it too was securely fastened. Song Qingju grew anxious, his face reddening as beads of sweat formed on his forehead. Why was he behaving like Fu Zhao had that night in the palace? Mr. Song? I called softly, but he stepped back, breathing heavily and trembling uncontrollably. Fourth miss, stay away from me. Mr. Song, have you consumed anything? When we first arrived, I drank some honey water given by the eldest young lady. After saying this, he appeared increasingly distressed, retreating to the corner and tugging at his hair. Fourth miss, tear my clothes and bind me, quickly. I hastily ripped my skirt into strips, and he extended his arms. When you bind me, do not touch me. I secured his hands and feet, and he huddled in the corner, eyes bloodshot, lips bitten until they bled. If I lose my reason before I break free, you must use a hairpin to end my life. Though I admire you, fourth miss, I cannot become a beast. He spoke in broken sentences, and upon seeing my silence, he shouted, did you hear me? All right, I replied, pulling out a hairpin and gripping it tightly, resolving that should he lose control, I would take my own life. The room fell silent, save for Song Qingju's increasingly labored breaths. His restrained limbs began to convulse uncontrollably. Just then, the door swung open, and in walked Li Chuxing. She surveyed the room, surprise etched on her face, her beautiful eyes gleaming with an unusual light. Who would have guessed? You are indeed a man of profound emotions. If that is the case, allow me to assist you. As soon as she finished speaking, 2 guards emerged from behind her, pushing me towards Song Qingju. I struggled, raising the hairpin, when suddenly, Two dull thuds echoed. The guards holding me collapsed to the ground, arrows embedded in their backs. Not far away, amidst the flames, a figure rode swiftly towards us. As he drew nearer, he leaped from his horse and enveloped me in his arms. Sui, I have come. Finally. I was reunited with Fu Zhao, and the tears I had held back for so long cascaded down my cheeks. Quickly, save Mr. Song. Fu Zhao's expression darkened. His lips pressed together, yet he instructed someone to attend to Song Qingju. Fu Zhao, Li Chuxing interjected, straightening her back. I am the favored daughter of this world. In terms of talent, vision, and lineage, none can compare to me. You would do well to relinquish your delusions. The only woman worthy of you in this world is I, and only I can stand beside you at the pinnacle of power. Her words dripped with arrogance. Yet Fu Zhao seemed unfazed, merely casting her a fleeting glance. Li Chuxing, for years I have pondered, what is the source of your shameless pride? Your talents and vision may indeed surpass those of other young ladies, but does that justify your manipulation of others' feelings, trampling upon their dignity and destroying their efforts? A cold-hearted and selfish person like you is not fit to compare to even a single strand of Sui's hair. With that, Fu Zhao waved his hand. Take Li Chuxing back to the palace and confine her in the same dark chamber as Feng Ruoji, never to leave. Fu Zhao. At this moment, all traces of her former nobility and pride vanished from Li Chuxing's face, her eyes wide with disbelief as she shouted hoarsely, "You cannot treat me this way, Fu Zhao. You cannot. I hail from another world, possessing wisdom from 1,000 years hence. You must not do this to me." Yet Fu Zhao did not spare her another glance. Lifting me onto the horse and commanding, "Silence, Li Chuxing. Do not let her speak any further nonsense." All was settled. The Empress Dowager Feng Ruoji deceived Fu Zhao into the palace under the pretense of the young emperor's illness, intending to stage a coup and imprison him. Upon learning this, Li Chuxing played along, poisoning the young emperor, with the intention that when the Empress Dowager's plot failed and the emperor succumbed to the poison, Fu Zhao would ascend the throne, and she would become the empress. She had always believed herself destined for greatness, long wishing to cast down Feng Ruoji. However, her ambition to be empress required not only the removal of Feng Ruoji, but also my elimination. Thus, she poisoned Song Qingju, plotting to kill us together, solidifying the scandalous accusation against us. Yet regardless of her feelings for Fu Zhao or her desire for the throne, the young emperor was innocent. And I had never provoked her. Such malicious schemes revealed a truly wicked mind. Upon returning to the palace, Fu Zhao presented an object to me. It was a dark substance, reminiscent of the scent I often detected on him, similar to that of Li Chuxing. What is this? This is niter. Brought back by Li Chuxing from the western frontier, when mixed with gunpowder, its power is greatly enhanced. During that time, I was busy crafting gunpowder, naturally carrying the scent. It seems I had misjudged him, allowing my imagination to run wild. In a moment of embarrassment, I hastily diverted the conversation. What is fire? What is gunpowder? Before I could finish, he silenced me with a kiss. Don't even think about escaping. You realize your mistake, don't you? Will you accept the punishment or the beating? Ultimately, I faced both, though they transpired upon our bed. A month later, Fu Zhao ascended to the throne, and the coveted phoenix crown, which Li Chuxing had long yearned for, was placed upon my head. The following year, there was a grand examination, and Fu Zhao named Song Qingju as the top scholar. Yet upon his return, he appeared thoroughly displeased, behaving quite sulkily. Were it not for his talents and gentlemanly demeanor, I might have wished to send him far away. At that time, I was already with child, leisurely strolling in the garden with his support. Suddenly, a thought struck me. Husband, how did you come to know that my childhood name is Sui? He was taken aback for a moment, hesitating before his gaze flickered. And he pointed to a nearby rockery. Years ago, I had playfully deceived a little maid, instructing her to wait for a cat there. To my surprise, she was so naive that she waited for 2 hours, shivering in the wind. As I regarded him and began to recall, realization dawned upon me. So, the little eunuch who had tricked me was you. The more I pondered, the angrier I became, pushing him away forcefully. Yet he clung to me again. Sui, do not be angry, it is all my fault. I shall spend my whole life making amends, if you will allow it. Fu Zhao. being the favored son of the emperor, had grown up unrestrained and notoriously mischievous. That night, the emperor hosted a banquet, inviting ministers and their families. However, Fu Zhao wished to sneak out of the palace to duel with a wanderer. When his mother objected, he donned eunuch attire in an attempt to slip away unnoticed. While wandering the garden, he encountered a young girl with ruby-red lips and pearly white teeth, resembling a porcelain doll. Upon seeing him, her eyes lit up as if she had found a savior. "Mister, I've lost my way. Could you escort me back to the banquet?" Fu Zhao, in a hurry to leave, was reluctant to assist her. Yet with no one else around, the girl clung to him, tears brimming in her eyes. "I am Li Liao's daughter, Li Chuan. I got lost while playing. Please, help me return." The mention of the Li family stirred something in Fu Zhao. He recognized the proud Li Chuxing, who loved to flaunt. Disliking her, he found Li Chuan equally unappealing. A flicker of mischief crossed his mind. "Miss Li, I wish to help you, but I have just landed in serious trouble and may not survive." Li Chuan gasped, her eyes reflecting concern. "What trouble? Is there a way to remedy it? I lost the cat of Consort Rong, and now I have been assigned a task. I must attend to it immediately. If I do not find the cat tonight, I am doomed. Then you must call for help." "That is not an option. If I inform anyone, it will reach Consort Rong's ears, and I shall meet my end much sooner." Fu Zhao feigned distress, blinking his eyes. "Miss Li, could you assist me?" "Of course. How can I help?" Li Chuan readily agreed. He pointed to a secluded rockery. "That is where cats love to go. Please wait there, and if you see the cat, catch it. But do not leave until I return. Fear not, I shall remain." Li Chuan dashed toward the rockery. After a few steps, Fu Zhao inexplicably turned back to glance at her. There, beneath the tall rockery, was her small figure, her long hair billowing in the breeze. Fu Zhao went out to duel with the wanderer but lost, returning with a bruised face, filled with frustration. As he walked, he encountered Consort Rong's cat, which leaped into his arms, familiar with him. While cradling the cat, he spotted that small figure again, still unmoving at the rockery. He calculated that 2 hours had passed, yet she remained there. "Li Chuan," he called softly, and she turned to him, her eyes sparkling in the moonlight. "You have finally returned." "Oh dear." As she stood after crouching for so long, she stumbled and fell, dirted and with 2 streams of mucus trailing down her face. She seemed unperturbed, smiling as she approached him. "You found the cat. I was so worried." Upon noticing his injuries, she asked with genuine concern, "How did you get hurt? Were you bullied?" Her words struck a nerve in Fu Zhao, igniting a surge of anger within him. With a wicked smile, he replied, "I did not lose the cat. I merely deceived you. How foolish you are to have waited here for so long." Li Chuan's face instantly paled, tears welling in her large eyes as she bit her lip to suppress her cries. Fu Zhao felt a pang of guilt and offered to escort her out of the palace. Throughout the journey, he tried every means to coax her into conversation, but she refused to engage with him. Many years later, on their wedding night, she would still stifle her tears in the same manner. This softened Fu Zhao's heart, making him long to protect her forever. Afterward, he never encountered Li Chuan again, while Li Chuxing gained increasing renown in the capital. That woman, so talented and audacious, publicly recited love letters from her admirers and criticized the skills of other young ladies, relishing their embarrassment with an air of pride. Indeed, she possessed the capital to be proud, yet her tendency to mock others for amusement was something Fu Zhao held in disdain. Unexpectedly, Li Chuxing displayed a marked interest in him, her gaze assessing him like that of a hunter observing its prey. One day, while they were enjoying tea at a street-side tea house, Li Chuxing looked out the window and suddenly sneered, her voice languid. She actually brought her dying mother out. What good can that do? Fu Zhao turned to look and saw Li Chuan struggling to push a wheelchair occupied by a frail woman. "This is my half-sister. Normally timid and frail, unfit for public view. Last time, she got lost in the palace during a banquet and, upon returning home, our father punished her severely and forbade her from going out again. Just yesterday, she knelt at our father's door all night to take her ailing mother out." Li Chuxing scoffed before shifting the conversation. Yet Fu Zhao heard nothing, his thoughts consumed by the memory of that small figure at the rockery, and her bright eyes when she saw him return. She was so timid, waiting alone in the secluded garden for 2 hours, probably terrified. Yet she still worried about his punishment. His momentary prank had caused her such distress. A profound ache filled his heart as he sought an excuse to dismiss Li Chuxing and hurried into the street in search of that delicate figure. Soon enough, he found her but feared she would recognize him, so he dared only to watch from a distance. His heart raced, filled with anxiety and anticipation. A feeling he had never experienced before. Li Chun pushed her mother around, purchasing various items. "Mother, do you like this? Is it fun?" "Sway sway." The woman raised her frail hand to gently stroke her head. "For so many years, I have never seen you this happy." "Then I will often bring you out to play." The woman sighed. "I know my illness. I fear there are not many days left for me. Just being able to come out today is enough for me. My only worry is you. What will you do when I am gone?" "That won't happen. You will live a long life and always be with Sway Sway." Li Chun buried her face in her mother's embrace, holding her tightly, tears glistening on her cheeks. That day, Fu Zhao followed closely, unable to tear his gaze away from Li Chun. As night fell, he watched them return home, standing silently for a long time, feeling an emptiness in his heart, as if he had lost something precious. When Li Chun was next seen, Fu Zhao had already ascended to the position of regent, standing a mere step below the emperor, surrounded by throngs of admirers wherever he went. At a gathering, he spotted her in a corner, brewing tea and seemingly without intent, approached her for a cup. She no longer recognized him, only aware of his title as regent, her face pale with a mixture of surprise and fear. He smiled gently, complimenting the flavor of her tea. To his dismay, he soon witnessed her being cornered and bullied by several young ladies. Among them was Li Chuxing. How brazenly seductive! He mused, failing to consider her own standing as she attempted to entice the regent. Furrowing his brow, Fu Zhao found it inappropriate to intervene directly. Instead, he summoned his aides, seeking an opportunity to extricate her from her predicament. Afterward, he realized that revealing his affections could embroil her in trouble. Yet, he yearned to marry her, to protect her openly, and to savor her brewed tea daily. However, having just assumed power, the political landscape was unstable, rife with hidden machinations. And the position of regent's consort would undoubtedly become a target. Before addressing these threats, he needed to conceal his feelings for her with utmost caution. At that opportune moment, Li Chuxing approached him, revealing her knowledge of gunpowder formulation, with the condition that he agree to an engagement with her. For 2 years, the Prime Minister had been pressuring Li Chuxing to marry, yet she was reluctant to embrace the early burdens of matrimony, child-rearing, and serving in-laws, all while cherishing her current liberated existence. She divulged the formula to him, using the engagement as a pretext to silence the Prime Minister. But Fu Zhao was to impose no constraints upon her. It was merely a transaction. A sudden scheme blossomed within Fu Zhao's mind, igniting a thrill within him, though his exterior remained composed. "Very well, I consent to your terms." This response seemed anticipated by Li Chuxing, who smiled radiantly. "Remember your words. Do not let jealousy lead you to reneging on your promise." Although Fu Zhao had never expressed his feelings, she appeared to have already designated him as her devoted subject. The announcement of Fu Zhao's betrothal to Li Chuxing sent ripples through the capital. On the surface, they basked in glory, yet beneath lay tumultuous currents. Notably, the Empress Dowager Feng Ruaji had orchestrated several obstacles for Li Chuxing. Fu Zhao observed coldly, only intervening when Li Chuxing was genuinely in peril. She had become such a conspicuous target. Until Fu Zhao's plans were firmly in place, he would ensure her safety. However, Li Chuxing remained oblivious, increasingly convinced of Fu Zhao's unwavering affection, and she cavorted more freely with the young lords of the capital. To all of this, Fu Zhao merely smiled, for it mattered little to him. He tackled state affairs with vigor, systematically eliminating threats, gradually establishing a formidable reputation within the court. His days were consumed with labor, except for the 8th day of the 9th month, when he would close his doors to visitors. This day marked the anniversary of Li Chuyun's mother's passing. Li Chun would venture alone to the outskirts of the capital to pay her respects, sitting by the grave for an entire day. Fu Zhao watched from afar, his gaze lingering for hours. In his heart, he thought, Year after year, just wait a little longer. In the future, I shall protect you for a lifetime. As the wedding date approached, Li Chuxing seemed to forget that this was merely a transaction, her heart set on marrying Fu Zhao. Thus, he began to speak, intentionally and unintentionally, of the scenic landscapes beyond the capital, which sparked a longing within her. Ultimately, at the last moment, she sneaked away, leaving him a letter. She urged him to wait just a little longer, promising that upon her return from her travels, she would wholeheartedly marry him. Upon reading her letter, Fu Zhao smiled contentedly. Subsequently, he visited the Prime Minister's residence, where he found the one he had long yearned for kneeling in a corner. He fought to suppress his overwhelming joy, casually pointing and declaring her, "She shall marry me in 3 days." The story concludes here. Thank you for listening, and until we meet again in the next tale.